Hi, my name is Candella, and this video, How to Effing Vote in Iowa, came about as some friends and I were having a conversation about what can we do after the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned. The conversation led to, well, we could vote or maybe even work on some campaigns or something like that, do some volunteer work or get involved. And one of the friends was like, there's an election. And so we had this conversation about midterms, and yes, there is an election this year. In general election day is November 8th, 2022. So that's just here in a few months. Early voting starts October 19th, and you can actually submit your absentee ballot request if you like to vote by absentee ballot as soon as August 31st. So just here in a few days after I post this video. So the conversation led to I could do a video on who to vote for and why, and I didn't really think that that video would get any kind of coverage or any kind of views. So the conversation led to if I dropped a bunch of F-bombs and then gave somebody $20 to like count how many times I said the F word, then maybe lots of people would watch it. And then if I had multiple $20, ha ha ha, and gave maybe $20 a week to whoever told me how many F-bombs I dropped in the video, then maybe it would get lots of views and get spread around and stuff like that. So I'm like, we got 10 weeks. I'm good for $200. So this is my contribution to society. For the record, if you don't want to hear a bunch of F-bombs, the first comment, I created another video. The other video, also how to vote in Iowa, doesn't have any cussing in it because I edited everything out when I accidentally slip, because sometimes I accidentally slip. And it is a longer video and gives more detail about each of the candidates. But in this video, if you don't want to hear them, it's time to pause or stop this now and go to the other one. And because I'm going to fucking cuss a whole lot in this fucking video. And for those of you who are still watching, your job is to count how many times I say fuck, fucking, fucked up, whatever kind of version of the F word. And if you can tell me how many times I say it, leave a comment, and I will send you $20. Or if I have a whole bunch of people who comment with the correct answer, then I'll do a drawing and send somebody $20 every week up until the election, which is November 8th, 2022. Okay, first of all, you need to fucking know that there are three ways to vote in Iowa, and those are vote early, vote by mail, and vote on election day. So voting early is my favorite way to vote. And to vote early, you just find your county auditor's office and you go there. Early voting starts October 19th and runs through November 7th. And so office hours tend to be like 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 5 or something like that. And so you can just show up. You do have to take ID, which ID is your driver's license, your passport, your VA ID, or your non-operator ID. They got rid of the option of using anything else as an ID, basically. So you do have to take ID. And you just tell them that you want to vote. They'll give you instructions, they'll give you a ballot, and then you fill it out. My video is focused on who to vote for, how to vote. But they'll give you the instructions of how to fill out the ballot and put it back in the envelope, sign the outside of the envelope, and all that stuff. So if you want to vote absentee, the absentee ballot request form looks like this. You can also find that on your county auditor's office website or at the Secretary of State, or when you go to vote early, you actually fill out this form at the county auditor's office. And so they have them there, right there on the counter. They're pretty easy to get to. Or if you just do a search of absentee ballot requests, lots of organizations have them on their website as well. Really easy to find. You fill it out. You can submit it as soon as August 31st or after. If you submit it after October, I think it's the 25th, then they won't send you a ballot. But if you submit it now, they will send you a ballot on October 19th. Have I mentioned October 19th, early voting? That's my favorite way. Go do that. There are three ways to vote in Iowa. They are to vote early, to vote by mail, or to vote in person on election day. Voting early means go to your county auditor's office. Voting early begins on October 19th and runs through November 7th. Voting on election day is you go to your polling site. And so your polling site can be, it could be in your neighborhood, it could be anywhere. When I went in 2020, lots of polling sites were closed. And so people got redirected. But the county auditor's office is always at the county auditor's office. So that's kind of why it's my favorite, because it's easy to find. So if you vote early, October 19th and November 7th, then you'll just vote at your county auditor's office. I also like voting early because I may plan to vote on, let's say, October 19th, and sometimes life throws me curveballs. Does life throw fucking curveballs to everybody? Probably. So life throws a curveball, and I don't know, maybe I'm running late, or I overslept, or my cat needs to go to the vet, or a kid gets sick, or car trouble, or like there's so many curveballs that life can throw. So if I plan to go on October 19th and I don't make it on October 19th, then there's always October 20th. But if I plan to go on election day and for whatever reason I don't make it on election day, then I've just lost my chance. So I like voting early for that reason, because I know life throws curveballs at me. Absentee ballot works well for people who are organized and can keep their shit together. So absentee ballot requires filling out the form, sending it in, checking your mail, making sure you got the ballot, filling out the ballot and getting the ballot back in time. And that's so many steps. I mentioned life those curveballs at me. That's enough steps that I could lose it in any one of those steps and potentially lose my opportunity to vote. So I'm back to let's vote early. Let's do that. It works for me. It works well, like repeatedly. Anyway, so fucking A. So back to the point. When I first learned about voting, the hard part for me wasn't figuring out whether to vote absentee or early voting or on election day. The hardest part for me was realizing that my ballot was this long. Sorry, this long. I can't even get the whole thing in the thing. Was realizing that my ballot was really, really long, and I didn't know most of the things on there. And for a lot of years, I didn't vote in midterms because I didn't know most of the things on the midterm elections. And I didn't realize how important they were. And they are really fucking important because it turns out that other than the president, we elect a lot of really important spots. We elect a lot of people to some really important positions. And we really need to pay more attention to this shit, because if we don't pay more attention, then there are people who are running into the ground. And I didn't realize that until just like fucking recently. But anyway, sorry for my lack of paying attention all those years. So who am I voting for? And I recognize the other video I created on how to vote in Iowa already runs to like 35 minutes, and nobody wants to take the time to listen to a 35 fucking minute video for anything, no matter whether we're counting how many times I say the word fuck or anything, even if it's really, really important like voting. So I'm going to run through this really quickly. And if you want the details of why I'm voting for each of the candidates, I dare you to watch the other video, though there's not an additional $20 incentive. I think it's worth it. I think our democracy is worth it. I think our rights are worth it. I think our lives are worth it. And I think, I mentioned in the other video, I think this stuff is worth it. So like my shirt says science is real and Black Lives Matter and no human is illegal and love is love and women's rights are human rights and kindness is everything. And I would add to this shirt, the rights of trans people, the rights of people who are trans and non-binary also are human rights. And there are probably a few other lines that I would add to the shirt because there are other things that are also important, like public dollars for public schools and how important it is to take care of our water and our soil and our communities. And well, I can go on, but like I said, that other video already gets really long. So what I'm trying to say by showing this shirt to you is this is who I am. I could go into another 10 minutes on this video to give you a little bit more about my backstory, but you don't probably want to spend that time learning about my backstory. You just want to watch the fucking video and count how many times I say the word fuck and get your $20. And so I'm going to move on and I'm going to go through this stuff really quickly, or as quickly as I can tolerate anyway. Okay, so I do want to show you a sample ballot, and this is a sample ballot from 2018. So most of the stuff on this ballot is no longer accurate. Most of the people on this ballot are no longer there. Some of them are, of course. But this just gives you an idea of what a potential ballot could look like. If you would like to find a current sample ballot, they're not out yet as of August, but they'll probably be out as of October or something like that, maybe October 1st or something. So you could go to your county auditor's office online and just find a sample ballot. And I'll do another video giving more details about how to find a sample ballot and how to find out what district you're in and stuff like that. I just don't have those done yet. So the sample ballot always has the federal offices listed first. So for a presidential year, the president will be listed as the very first thing under federal. In 2018, there wasn't a presidential election. In 2022, there's not a presidential election, but there are some federal races. And so the first thing on the ballot for this year will say U.S. Senate. And the choices for U.S. Senate are Chuck Grassley, who is the incumbent, or Michael Franken, who is running against him. And Michael Franken is clearly the fucking choice. Like, he is clearly the better alternative. If you believe in the things on this shirt, if you believe in saving democracy, he has committed to sign on to the Women's Health Act, which went through the House this year. And so we need to get Michael Franken elected. So I would fill in the bubble that says Mike Franken or Michael Franken for that. Okay, so the next thing under the U.S. Senate race will be the House of Representatives. So for my ballot, I'm in District 4. I live in one of these counties that are painted blue over here. And actually, I just showed you Pottawatomie County's ballot. So Pottawatomie County used to be in District 3, but they redrew the lines and split Cindy Axne's reach up. And I can go into a whole lot of I can go into another 10, 15-minute rant about gerrymandering. But then this video will be too fucking long, and you'll be like, how long do I have to fucking sit here to count the word fuck, right? So I'm going to skip the gerrymandering bitch session for right now and just point out that for this year and for the next 10 years, I'm in District 4. And for District 4, my choices are Randy Feenstra or Ryan Melton. Now, Randy Feenstra, again, I can spend another 10 minutes. I can definitely spend probably a full hour talking about how awful Randy Feenstra is. He is just awful. If you are old enough to know Steve King, the congressperson who used to represent the 4th District, Randy Feenstra is awful in all the ways that Steve King was awful, except that he's not loud about it. Steve King used to say things out loud that were blatantly misogynist, blatantly racist, blatantly transphobic, blatantly. Before Iowa made it part of our Constitution that anyone can marry whomever they love, and legalized and enshrined the right to marry, Steve King was all on his soapbox about how marriage was just between a woman and a man, and it was just disgusting in lots of ways. And so as I mentioned, love is love. I am an ally to the LGBTQIA 2S plus community, and I strongly believe in the right to marry whomever you love and to be who you are, regardless of what you were assigned at birth. And in any case, so my vote for 4th District is Ryan Melton, because he is someone who was attending Pride community events before he even thought about running for office. He is someone who stands strongly in solidarity with a woman's right to choose, or a person who has a uterus's right to choose what happens with their body. And I can just go on and on about why Ryan Melton is the better choice. But Ryan Melton is the better choice. So Ryan Melton for U.S. Congress if you're in District 4. Now, if you're in District 3, Cindy Axne is the better choice. And I can go another 10 minutes talking about Cindy Axne and how awesome she has been for the 3rd District, even when the 3rd District included my county and these counties down here. She has brought infrastructure to Iowa. She's brought dollars. I mean, literally dollars to repair roads and bridges and lots of things. And she's just been such a strong advocate for the citizens, the farmers, the women, the LGBT community, etc. She is phenomenal. We definitely want to keep her. If you are in District 3, please vote for Cindy Axne. Now, if you're in District 1, your choices are, I'm looking at my notes, Liz Mathis versus Ashley Henson. And Ashley Henson's voting record is only a smidge different from Feinstra's voting record. Again, I mean, it's like Steve King light. She is not somebody that I want to represent me. She's not my district, but if you were somebody who would be aligned with the values represented by my shirt, Ashley Henson's not the one for you. Who is the one for you? Liz Mathis. And Liz Mathis and Christina Bohannon had been teaming up with Cindy Axney that I just mentioned because they have a lot of the same views, a lot of the same policy ideas, and a lot of the same values, which are, like I said, aligned with my shirt. So Ryan Melton, if you're here, Cindy Axney, if you're here, Liz Mathis, if you're here, Christina Bohannon, if you're here. And again, I can go into a long, detailed explanation of why this one and why not that one, because I've got both the like, this one's awful, and also, hey, this one's great. But you don't want to fucking listen to the whole spiel, probably. If you do, just watch the other video. Now, this video, I'm just going to cover the shit that covers the statewide election stuff. I am planning to get into more district involved videos. They're not done yet, but I will get them out as quickly as I can. If you're interested in, wait a minute, I want to go all the way down my fucking ballot and you only covered like half of it, or I'm going to probably cover 3/4 of it, but still. I hear you, because when I was first voting, especially when I was first voting, and by first, I mean like the first 5 times probably that I voted, there were a whole lot of things in my ballot that I'm like, I never even heard of this fucking shit. Like, what the hell? Why doesn't somebody teach you this stuff? I don't know. That's why I'm doing this, is to give you some teaching on the stuff that I didn't get teaching on. I had to figure shit out for myself. So after the federal offices, the next thing on the ballot are the statewide offices. And so going through those, the very top office on the statewide ballot is the run for governor. And so right now, our current governor is fucking Kim Reynolds. Kim fucking Reynolds. Like, oh my gosh, I can go on and on and on about why Kim fucking Reynolds has been so bad for the state. I do want to spend a minute or so talking about school voucher shit, because that fucking shit's got me pissed off. Kim Reynolds held the legislature over in 2022, this year. They were supposed to get out in like April, and she kept them over until May because she wanted to push this school voucher agenda. She calls it school choice. So it's so interesting how she likes the word choice sometimes. And so what the school voucher initiative is, or the school choice initiative as she's calling it, is they take our public tax dollars, right? So all of us who pay taxes pay into a public tax dollar system to go to our public schools. And so instead of having that money go to our public schools as it's been designed, she's created this new initiative where some of that money could get taken out of public schools and put into private schools with a voucher initiative. I just showed you the map of Iowa, and one of the problems with putting things into a private school initiative is that there are a whole lot of counties in Iowa that don't have a private school, or they don't have a private school that goes all the way to high school, or there just aren't really a lot of private schools available. And so essentially, she's saying that the public school dollars that would go to our community schools, even in our rural communities that we want to keep open, that we could just close all those community schools and funnel the money into the private schools, which are more often in the cities. Which that is bad enough by itself. But what really annoys the fuck out of me is that private schools don't have to accept everybody. So our public schools, they have to accept every child who is in the community. So if you have a bit of a hearing challenge, maybe need some additional supports or assistive devices to help with hearing, or if you have a mobility issue and you need ramps or some kind of, you need to make sure that the floor is level or that you can get around safely and well, or if you have any kind of physical disability that makes life a little more challenging for you, private schools don't have to accommodate that. They can just say, well, you aren't really a good fit for our school, or we don't have the resources to accommodate that, or they're not required to make a space for you. They're also not required to accept you if they don't feel like you fit with their culture. And that's the phrase that they use, fit with our culture. And fit with our culture can be based on all kinds of criteria. It can be based on, well, you don't actually follow the faith that we follow, so you don't fit with our culture. Or they can decide that you don't fit with our culture because you're just not white enough, or you're just not male enough, or you're just not female enough, or they don't approve of who you love, or they don't approve of some other thing that they call a lifestyle choice that might be something that is just born in you. And they don't actually have to explain why they're discriminating. They don't have to say, oh, yeah, we're flat out discriminating on the basis of race or gender or sex or creed or whatever. They can just use that phrase. We don't really think that you fit with our culture. And based on that, I don't want my public dollars going to private schools. If you want to go to private school, go to private school, pay for private school, get a scholarship if you want to pay for a private school, but don't use our public money to pay for private schools. Our public dollars should be to educate all of our children. I want our public schools to educate my children, and they have. I want our public schools to be open to your children, as they are. I want our public schools to educate the public so that we have an educated public, because having an educated public is a good thing for all of us. So, okay, so that was a long fucking rant, taking up a whole lot of your fucking time. To go into the long spiel of don't vote for Kim Reynolds, like vote against Kim Reynolds. So who runs against Kim Reynolds? Deidre DeJear. I love Deidre DeJear, and I can go on and on about all the things I love about Deidre DeJear because she is so, so, so fabulous. And like, I feel like she embodies the values on my shirt. But instead of spending 10 or 15 minutes talking about Deidre DeJear, you can go watch the other video where I've already done that. Deidre DeJear for governor and Eric Van Linker for lieutenant governor. They come as a package set. So, like, yes, that's who to vote for. DEJEAR. Next on the ballot will be Secretary of State, and Secretary of State is a big fucking deal this year, considering all of the insurrection bullshit and considering that, do you know about the fake electors? If you don't know about the fake electors, I dare you to just take a minute out of your day sometime and just, put that into your search engine, fake electors, and just listen to some stories or watch a video or so on fake electors. We need a Secretary of State that's going to protect our voting, that's going to make voting as easy as possible. I go through a long tirade on the other video about 10 fucking polling sites got closed. Fire a fucking Paul Pate. Just fire Paul Pate. So our choices for Secretary of State are Paul Pate, fire Paul Pate, or Joel Miller. Joel Miller's tagline is make voting easier. So like we got fire Paul Pate, or we got make voting easier. I'm going to go with make voting easier. Fucking A. Like that's what we need from a Secretary of State, making voting easier. Vote for Joel Miller, Joel Miller for Secretary of State. Okay, so next on the ballot is our state auditor, and Rob Sand is our current state auditor, and he's doing a fabulous job. Keep him in there. There are lots of folks who are pissed off at him because he is saving us saving those tax dollars, saving us some money by auditing and finding wasteful spending and getting that corrected so that our Iowa tax dollars are put to the appropriate uses and not being wasted on frivolous things. So yay for Rob Sand. Let's keep him. Next on the ballot is the state treasurer, and Michael Fitzgerald is the current state treasurer. I did not spend a lot of time looking him up, but he has been approved by 5 governors. He has been the state treasurer through 5 governor reigns. And that includes 2 Democrats and 3 Republicans, and everybody, all of the 5 governors, says, yeah, he's doing a good job. We should keep him. So I'm thinking, yeah, he's doing a good job. We should keep him. Okay. And then also his opponent is Roby Smith. And I did take a few minutes to look up Roby Smith because in my mindset, I want to look at who are my 2 choices. And I'm always going to go as far as I can in line with my values. So if I've got one choice that is like way, way, way in line with my values, easy peasy, I just choose that one. If I have 2 choices and one is maybe not, and the other is maybe less in line with my values, I'm going to go with the one that's the closest, because I mean, voting isn't marriage. You know, we don't necessarily vote and say, like, I'm going to keep them forever. We vote and say, I want the one who's going in the general direction that I'm going, or gets the closest for this year. And then next year, I'll vote for the one that gets a little closer. And I probably didn't need to put all that here because Michael Fitzgerald is actually a good candidate. Like, he is. Roby Smith is just like, I mean, he is all for deregulation and exploitation. Well, he doesn't officially say he's for exploitation, but so many of the consumer protections and deregulation that he likes to put in place were consumer protections. And if you deregulate that, it gives the corporate interest more power than the public interest. And to be honest, the corporate interest almost always already has more power than the public interest. So I need our state treasurer to be in line with the public interest, and that includes me and people who work for a living and people who attend public schools and people who just need to get by. Next on the ballot is Secretary of Agriculture, and for Secretary of Agriculture, the incumbent is Nag, and the opponent is John Norwood. And I just happened across John Norwood because he did an event in my community, and he's awesome. Like, he is about healthy soil, healthy water, clean water, healthy soil, thriving communities. And he's a really big advocate for community farm, or for century farms and family farms. I didn't know anything about Secretary of Agriculture until I started looking this up. But Nag puts on his website several episodes of where a corporate farm took over some family farms in the community, and he seems to be calling that a win. And I don't call that a win. And so even if I didn't know anything about John Norwood, Nag is not who I want to vote for. And John Norwood is healthy soil, clean water, thriving communities. I mean, this seems like a no-brainer. John Norwood is our better choice for Secretary of Agriculture. Okay. All right. Next on the ballot will be the Attorney General, and Tom Miller is the Attorney General of choice. Tom Miller has done a great job of advocating for consumer rights and for the citizens of Iowa. And also, I mean, I've already showed you my shirt. I am definitely pro-choice. I think that a person's bodily autonomy needs to be with themselves. They need to maybe communicate with their doctors, maybe their spouse or loved ones, maybe their spiritual advisor, but it's not my job to tell someone else what to do with their body. And it's not my governor or my senator or my president's job to tell me what to do with my body. And Tom Miller agrees with that stance, that that it is not the government's job, but the individual's job to have that bodily autonomy and that freedom, reproductive freedom. And so he's definitely the one I want advocating for us in Iowa. Okay, so once I get through all of the various individuals and I've done my homework and I've looked at everybody line by line and I've seen and compared who is in line with my values. Now, I didn't buy this shirt from any particular party, but it turns out all of the folks that I have listed are Democrats. Turns out I'm a Democrat, like, surprise. So if you don't know, if you're at that point in life where you're like, I don't know, I hear all this divisiveness and it seems like flip a coin, or it seems like which side, who's really the better choice. Well, if you look at these values, the better choice this year are the Democrats. That might not be a true 100% of the time. So I do encourage you to do your homework if you're interested in doing your homework. Or if you just want to trust my judgment, like, you're certainly welcome to do that. If you know me, a lot of people who know me do just trust my judgment. Or if you receive this video from somebody that you do trust their judgment, you can certainly have a conversation with them. Or you're welcome to just look everybody up on your own. And I'm going to do another video on how do I find out what's on my ballot and how to look it up. But at this point in my life, I've discovered that if I haven't had a chance to look somebody up and I've got a choice between a Democrat and another party, it is often the case that the Democrat is the more in line with my values. Not 100% of the time, but if I'm just guessing, that's probably a better guess. So at the end of the federal stuff is the state stuff. And at the end of the state stuff will be your opportunity to vote for the folks who go from your Senate district and or your House, your state representative district to go to Des Moines. And I'm skipping that part of this video because I'm making a separate video for the Southwest corner, and I'll make another video for some various regions of Iowa to cover that more detailed information. And then after the state information are the county options. And so those folks that you can vote for county, like county supervisor or county treasurer, recorder, county attorney, etc. I'm skipping all of that for this video, but there will hopefully be a video for your district. And if there's not a video for your district or you can't find it, leave me a comment saying that you'd like a video for your district, and I will, depending on time and energy and availability, try to get one for your district too if you're interested. Then once the county offices, then there are the nonpartisan offices, and I don't necessarily go into all of that for your ballot for the districts because I don't learn those beyond my own county. Then after all of that stuff, there will be some court stuff. And so for our upcoming election 2022, there'll be a statement that says it will still say this part: judicial ballot, notice to voters, vote on all names by filling in the appropriate oval below each name. And so we have two Supreme Court justices that will be on the ballot this year, that and those are McDermott and Oxley. And for both of those, I am saying to vote no to McDermott and vote no to Oxley. So it'll look very much like this does. It'll say Supreme Court shall the following judges of the Iowa Supreme Court. So this is for Iowa, not for like the federal DC, not for the entire nation, but just for the state. And it'll say shall the following judges of the Supreme Court be retained in office? And I don't know which one will be listed first, probably McDermott, because alphabetical order. McDermott, and then vote no. Oxley, and then vote no. And then beyond that will be this similar question: Court of Appeals, shall the following judges of the Court of Appeals be retained in office? And so far, I know that Ehlers is a no from me, and it's all for the same reason. It's because I support a person's right to choose what to do with their body and their uterus. I support the right to health care, including abortion care, including prenatal care, including contraception care, and they don't represent that. And so they are standing in the way of my rights. And so I'm voting them out. Now, I did look up batting, and I didn't find any reason to vote for or against batting. So I don't have enough information for batting to give you an informed decision on that. But I do have enough information for Paul Ehlers, Ahlers, vote no. Oxley, Oxley, vote no. McDermott, 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 vote no. Okay. Then the thing that will be on our ballot will be a ballot initiative, and there will be a ballot initiative, and it will say on the ballot initiative, just like this says, the right to keep and bear arms, section 1A. And this part will be on the ballot. It will say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The sovereign state of Iowa affirms and recognizes this right to be a fundamental individual right. Any and all restrictions of this right shall be subject to strict scrutiny. Now, everything up to this period, before this last line, before it says any and all restrictions of this right shall be subject to strict scrutiny, everything here is already protected in our Constitution, in our Second Rights Amendment. And so a vote no on this doesn't take away your right to keep and bear arms. It doesn't take away any of the rights that you already have. But a vote yes on this, because of this extra line, any and all restrictions shall be subject to strict scrutiny. Well, if you get into the details, and the details won't be on the ballot, you'll have to go elsewhere to look at the entire ballot measure, because they just put that little paragraph, that little teeny tiny bit on the ballot, and they it's tricky. They're just doing this to trick you. Like they are trying to trick you, because most people don't go and look for the further information. Most people don't even know that there is further information. And so they just see this and they're like, yeah, I want to support this. That's what's in our Constitution. And the NRA is actually sending letters to get people riled up that this should be, the NRA, of course, wants us to say yes to this. But if you're somebody who cares about safe communities and you think that it might be possible that we could come to some reasonable legislation that protects the right of gun owners and responsible gun enthusiasts to be able to do all the fun things that they do with their guns, while also making sure that our communities stay safe, that our schools stay safe, that our malls and places of worship stay safe. Maybe having some restrictions where people who have committed horrible crimes with guns maybe don't get the right to keep their guns. Maybe there are other reasonable measures that should be legislated at some point in the future. None of those things are on the ballot, but this one amendment is on the ballot, and this amendment prevents future legislation by implying that this strict scrutiny clause, well, I mean, it depends on who's providing the strict scrutiny, but I'm sure that you can imagine that an NRA enthusiast would put a big old veto on any potential gun legislation just because it had the word gun in it. And you can see how that is unreasonable. Okay, but when I don't know what to do, when I don't really understand something and I don't. So when I don't really know what to do, when I'm looking at a legislation issue or okay, when I don't know what to do about something that is legal and complicated and a bit confusing to me, I do not bother to go get a law degree because I don't have time for that. I don't have time to do all the homework that might need to be done. And I don't really have the energy or enthusiasm to do all the homework that might need to be done. So, what I've learned is that life is an open book test, and I can look on what other people have done for their homework. And so, that's one of the ways I decide about this particular measure. I look at who is for it and who is against it. And that helps me make an informed choice of, if all of these smart people are for it, then maybe I should be for it. Or if all these smart people are against it, then maybe I should be against it. So just looking on Ballotpedia real quick, who is the people who are for it include the state representative who proposed it and one other state Senate representative. So I didn't look up their entire background or all the details of whether or not their pockets are completely lined by the NRA. All I know is that we've got two. That's not everybody, that's two. But I do want to look at who's opposed it. And it turns out that like everybody is opposed it. I mean, can you see this list? I can read this list to you. That'll take a fucking, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. I'm not really sure how long it takes to read that list, but it takes a little bit. The Iowans for Responsible Gun Laws is leading the campaign in opposition to the amendment. You can find the campaign provides a full list of endorsements on its website, which is available here. So Ballotpedia doesn't even have all of the endorsements of who is opposed to this, but that's a long fucking list already. American Association for University of Women of Iowa, Common Good, Des Moines Faith Committee for Peace, just like the Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Women's International League for Peace and Freedom of Des Moines, Iowa Mental Health Advocacy, League of Women Voters for Iowa, and League of Women Voters for Iowa. They tend to be pretty inclusive. So it's a bipartisan. It's a fairly evenly distributed bipartisan community. So it's not like it's a Democrat issue versus Republican issue. It's a people who want our communities to be safe issue versus people who think guns should have more rights than humans. All right. Again, this video has taken way longer than I expected it to. Sorry it took so long. I did my best. I could probably do another one and make it shorter, but I don't think I've got time for that. So my next video will start going into districts. Let me know in the comments how many times I said the word fuck or fucking or F-bomb or fucked up or whatever. If you want to throw in extra curse words, that's fine. In all honesty, I don't actually fucking care how many times I said the word fuck. I just want the video to get spread around so that people who are looking for information on how to vote can get that information. And I'm willing to throw in some hard cash to help the message get spread around. So I'll do $20 per week to whoever gives me some comments about how many times I said the word fuck in this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, or as good of a day as you possibly can. And certainly feel free to share this video, and leave lots of comments about how fucked up it is that I'm doing this. All right, bye-bye.